them, that would actually just be a huge lift for running the election properly. And as I said, there are Republican officials who recognize this. A lot of the Republican secretaries of state who actually have responsibility for running the elections, they are in favor of this additional funding.
So several states have decided that they're going to do mail-in ballots for everybody. Like if you're registered, you will get a mail-in ballot. So what states recently decided that they would do that?
So my home state of Connecticut, the Secretary of State just said, yes, we're going to mail every registered voter a mail-in ballot for November. There is talk of doing that in Massachusetts. The legislature is pursuing that possibility, and Governor Cuomo has mentioned that idea in New York. So what you're seeing here is a kind of move among some states. Another one is New Hampshire, where the governor has talked about doing this. A recognition that mail-in ballots are just going to be a much easier way to go. And you know, one additional point to make is, even if you still think it's important to have the polls open, you reduce the burden on the polling places. There are fewer people there. And so if voters know, okay, lots and lots of people have requested absentee ballots, they can be assured that the polling places won't be as crowded, which of course helps with safety and social distancing in light of COVID-19.
My guest is Emily Bazelon, a staff writer for the New York Times Magazine. Her new article is titled, "Will Americans Lose Their Right to Vote in the Pandemic?" Shortly after we recorded the interview, California Governor Gavin Newsom issued an executive order in response to the coronavirus, saying every registered voter in that state will automatically be sent a mail-in ballot for the November election. After a break, we'll talk about how the post office's financial crisis might affect mail-in ballots. This is Fresh Air.
Supporting WHYY De Bruno Brothers, celebrating food, family, in Philadelphia for over 80 years. Now offering curbside pickup and delivery of groceries like produce, meat and seafood, prepared foods, cheeses, charcuterie, and fine specialty foods. More at DeBruno.com.
WHYY is grateful to our sponsors for their support during this crisis. Crucial backing from businesses allows us to bring our community objective information in uncertain times. To learn about business support, call Nancy at 215-351-1223.
Support for NPR comes from this station and from Doctors Without Borders, whose teams are responding to the coronavirus pandemic in more than 70 countries while continuing to provide care to people trapped in crisis and conflict at doctorswithoutborders.org. And from the Charles Stewart Mott Foundation, supporting efforts to promote a just, equitable, and sustainable society in its hometown of Flint, Michigan, and communities around the world. More at mott.org.
This is Fresh Air, and if you're just joining us, my guest is Emily Bazelon. We're talking about her new article in the New York Times Magazine, which is called, "Will Americans Lose Their Right to Vote in the Pandemic?" Now, a lot of the article is about the expansion of mail-in ballots for this election during the pandemic, and the political opposition and the financial obstacles that may prevent it from happening on as massive a scale as it could. So, Emily, you know, we're talking about expanding voting by mail, but if the states are going to expand vote by mail, they'll be relying on the U.S. Postal Service, which is projecting a $13 billion shortfall by the end of their fiscal year in September. The Postal Service and the Treasury Department have been negotiating over a $10 billion line of credit that's part of the coronavirus relief package, but President Trump has threatened to block future funding unless the Postal Service meets his demands. Meanwhile, a new Postmaster General was just named, who's a major Republican donor and a Trump donor and ally. So what is Trump demanding of the Postal Service?
Trump has been having a feud with the Postal Service for a while now. He is demanding that they raise their rates for packages. And according to administration officials, this has been reported by major news outlets, Trump is especially taking aim at Amazon, which is owned by Jeff Bezos. Bezos is also the owner of the Washington Post. So according to reports in various newspapers, when Trump gets angry about a Washington Post article about his administration that he doesn't like, he starts to get mad at the idea that the post office, in his view, is not charging Amazon enough money to deliver its packages. That's the kind of core complaint here.
So are there problems that the post office is having, or might have that could prevent it from delivering and returning mail-in ballots for the November election?
Well, the post office is warning they're going to run out of money by the end of September if they don't get some help from the federal government. And yes, in an election that depends heavily on mail-in ballots, the post office becomes a kind of de facto election administrator. So threatening its operations this fall in this crucial time does pose a kind of threat of its own to the election.